As young people, on our leadership journey, we are often faced with the issue of self-confidence, whether how to build or rebuild our confidence. It can be daunting, but it is not insurmountable. In this episode, myself and a brilliant friend will be using our personal stories to provide you tools for steering your self-confidence.
Hi, I am Father Abraham, and spreading light is my legacy. Welcome to Re-Spectrum. Together, we gain clarity and the resolve to live with purpose. Blessings. We're going to be having a great time today. Welcome to the show.
Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Re-Spectrum. My name is Abraham Ologundudu. Thank you for allowing me into your space. I am humbled by this. In this episode, we will be discussing how the right paradigm about identity, impact, and life can help you steer healthy confidence. And also how to rise up each time you get hit by life circumstances. But just before we get into that, so the first episode was last week, right? And I mentioned I was terrified and nervous because I was going to share very personal information about myself. Thinking of the possibility that some listeners might not agree with some of my thoughts made me uncomfortable for a while. However, the comments I have been receiving have been nothing short of amazing and inspiring. Inspiring in the sense that coming to see how my vulnerability can make a great impression in the lives of those who listen gives me the reason to keep doing this till I don't know when. But let me read out 2 of these comments. So Rejoice said, I found this very interesting and authentic. Well done, Abraham. I'm sure this was not an easy thing to do. I look forward to the next episode, especially the one on working with people that act like they are working with you but are not. Smiley emoji. Godwin said, this was so refreshing and insightful. Your vulnerability made me have goosebumps. Wow. I also got valuable insight on personal development. Alright everyone, I'm absolutely touched and I hope to keep getting your honest reviews and feedback going forward. Nothing but the honest reviews. I don't want embellished reviews. Thank you so much. Alright, so picking up from the last episode, today we would be discussing confidence, recognizing that at several points in our lives, my life also, we would have struggled. I have struggled with my confidence level, and I'm sure you might have also struggled with your confidence level. In this case, we would be considering young people because I'm passionate about young people and narrowing down to an aspect that may not be frequently addressed, which is how to find your way back when you lose your confidence and also how to re-engineer your source of confidence. So last week Friday, after 3 weeks of self-isolation, I left my house to get some groceries and also to visit a friend. Her name is Jennifer Uchendu. She's the founder of SustyVibes. So we had a very informal chat based on our experiences. Therefore, you will have to forgive our possibly excessive jokes because we were just speaking from our hearts. Yeah, on that note, a quick heads up. Jenny's apartment has a lot of echo, so I couldn't control the audio quality to some points. Lastly, I was lost in the conversation that I was speaking so fast at certain points. My bad. That is something I really have been working on, but there was little I could do on post-production. So yeah, please enjoy this podcast and see you soon.
And today joining me is Jennifer Uchendu, and I will let her introduce herself by herself. She's a very powerful somebody, and I think I've known her for afar from like 3 years, 4 years.
Sorry, 4 years.
Probably 4 years, but from close range, maybe 2 years. And yeah, you get to know much about her. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Hey, people. That's how you talk, people. Hi, guys. Hi, guys. Welcome
to my channel.
But hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Uchendu. Like Abraham rightly said. How do I introduce myself?
Anyhow.
Okay. Well, a lot of people know me as the founder of SustyVibes, which is like my organization where I work with a community of young people in Nigeria, and we make sustainability cool, and we make the idea of sustainability and caring for the environment relatable to other young people. Well, I get to talk about that later. I'm also called Susty Mama, which is like a name I gave myself. I don't know what kind of confidence I had to think I was Susty Mama.
Well,
I remember my mentor saying, "Which stupid Susty Mama?" She's like, "You should be Susty Girl or something." I'm
I
like,
feel Mama is more encompassing, like it shows like Saucy's girl is like girl,
Exactly.
Mama is like boss lady kind of thing.
And I think it was just a conversation starter because people were like, who do you think you are? Yeah, I also like to wear my hair in red, which is like something about me that stands out. Yeah, it's not such a big deal, but it does stand out for me, basically. I'm currently studying for a master's in development studies, like Abraham, at the Institute of Development Studies. It's always important to mention that we are
You guys are
number
too
one
proud.
in the world. Currently number one in the world for development studies. So I'm completely privileged and honored to be studying development studies here under a Sheffield scholarship. You won't even allow me land. But yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me.
Do you know one funny thing is? Each time I tell Ashley in my classmate, when I say Jennifer, the first thing she says, "Oh, the one with the red hair." I'm
Yes.
like,
Yes.
It's like a signature.
Yeah, to think I went to Covenant University,
Oh.
which is where I had undergrad, and we're not allowed to wear colored hair. So
Really?
it had to be black. So coming out of Covenant,
Is there like a mystery revelation behind that?
so to them, you're wild. You know how, you're not allowed to wear red hair. So I was like, okay, perhaps. I started with gold, but it didn't quite work out for my look.
And the
and
red
then-
is amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I brought Jennifer because I think she is much relevant to this conversation, because I wanted to explore confidence from young people who are like, and they just give a generic name of change makers, in the sense that you're either trying to make an impact in your community, or you're running a business, or you're working in the public sector and do something incredible, or basically a volunteer who, let's call it serial volunteers, who like work with different organizations at different points in your life.
Yeah.
And I can classify us into that box of what we call change makers, in the sense that we are not just people who are trying to make ends for ourselves to survive, but we want to survive, everyone wants to survive, but we're also really looking forward to how we can be contributors in our communities. And one of the things that I believe with my experience at some point is we might lose our confidence in how we perceive ourselves. Okay, let me first leave it open. Like for you, Jennifer, can you relate to the fact that at certain points in our lives or in your life you've experienced some down moment that makes you feel like, am I worthy of all this things I'm doing, and does it even make any sense? Am I even making an impact? Have you ever questioned yourself at any point in time?
I question myself all the time. Even now with COVID, it's more apparent. It's like every day. Yeah, but I do question myself a lot. I mean, like I was telling you before, there's the idea of imposter syndrome that creeps in on, I think, the average person, but even worse for a change maker who already has some past glory or some impact to their name. So it would always creep up. Like, am I really who I say I am? When I introduce myself, is that really the real me? Of course, it's the real you, but there's the other side of you who's vulnerable, who's just like a normal person struggling to learn. But so we always have to find that balance in knowing who you are and who you are is present continuous, like you're a being. So you're evolving basically. So you would always go between like those back and forths. But definitely losing confidence, and sometimes it gets so bad that even when people try to remind you of who you are and what you've done, you just can't get yourself to see it in that light. I think it's perfectly normal. I think it's part of the process of growing, because you don't see your growth from within. It's always better when people see it like externally. They can see, oh, you were short before, you've now grown taller. But that process of growth, sometimes it can be slow, and you don't necessarily see it, or you don't make an impact. Like you don't think you're making an impact basically. But there's also the part of confidence in people being tied to external validation, which I think is a bit problematic, because people are fake. Yeah. Sussex.
Ideas has got it to you.
I think it's not good.
No, it's very problematic. But
Yeah, I think it's. I was using it before I came here.
Oh, you were already using it before you came here.
I was. Ideas just gives you some words. That's how today I said unbeknownst to me.
Are you
like, why?
Is that like just version?
Oh my god.
Yeah, you were saying,
Yeah, I was saying that a lot of people tie their confidence and level of growth and impact to external validation. And this can come in form of awards, in form of your name being on lists, top 100, top 50. It can come in even mentions. So someone mentions you in a newspaper interview, or you're being interviewed. Like people put their words to all those things so that they can post on social media, so that they can tell other people. But I think it's always important what you're posting to yourself. You get how do you rate yourself in terms of successful? Do you see the other person who is always online as successful, and then you then compare yourself with that person? Because I've personally had my moments where I was like raving, like everybody was trying to push something on either SustyVibes or sustainability. And now I'm no longer that person, which is good, because people have seen like that, oh, there's potential here, and more young people have grown to take up that space. And now I have other spaces to fill, even not just as a mentor, but someone learning now. Like I'm now in ideas. It's now time to read and study. I'm not concerned and chasing all those other things that were my priority. So you kind of need to know yourself and know where you are in every point. So for example, you could be, maybe you didn't change any face, you didn't start going to school, you're still doing what you used to do, but you're having that drop of confidence. It's okay. Like you're not doing anything wrong. You just need to ask yourself, where is it coming from and why? Like, is it just a normal feeling of me feeling down? Or is it just because something hasn't clicked? Someone hasn't posted something. I've not had a mention somewhere. So you really, really, really need to assess that. Of course, for some other people, it's money in the bank. Like if they don't have money in the bank, then they are not successful. But we know that money is just like proof of value. It's like the leaves on trees. But if you see yourself as that tree, as that value maker, knowing that even your network, the work that you've done, being able to put out your skill can give you money, then you know that you will never really be broke in your head. But it's just that money is not there at that time. And that's obviously the difference between knowing someone who's rich and someone who's wealthy, because a wealthy person would always know that they can make money from even within themselves. So it's knowing all of those things, and these principles are important because they keep you grounded for those times, and the times where you lose confidence, the times when you would rather not do anything. And I think they're fine, like deciding to say, oh, I just want to take a break and rest. I just don't want to do anything now. I want to breathe. They're completely fine, because it helps you reflect. The part where it becomes problematic. The part where it becomes problematic is if you then start to sulk. You're not reflecting. You're not doing anything. You're just feeling bad for yourself. It becomes comfortable. You're just lazying about. So yeah, and idle mind is never a good thing, because negative thoughts will then grow because you're not thinking progressively. So it just gives you that opportunity for negative and bad vibes to come into your mind. So that is one way I think people should learn to navigate out of that feeling low. It's okay to feel low and lose confidence for some time, but don't get stuck in it, because if you get stuck in it, it becomes really bad. Your mind will then be able to magnify all of the things that are wrong, all of the things that are not working out. And trust me, if you want to check the things that are not working out, there are a lot. But the good part is there's always another side. There's always another side of change being done, things working out, no matter how small. And I always see change as change doesn't have to be extremely big. Like, for change to be changed. Even one person saying, oh, this thing you said to me helped me through today is change, because you don't know who that person will talk to, that other person will talk to, and it's just a chain of you just doing good. And for me, I always see it as projecting and extending grace to others, where because I've received grace on my own self, so being able to extend it to others in different ways is making a change. Forgiving someone for not doing stuff, like maybe they didn't meet a deadline and you're like, oh, what you don't do is tied to my own success, but even forgiving them is making a change in their life one way or the other. So we need to just think about life in terms of us not really being the standard, like, oh, I'm not the standard of how things should work, so I should be able to give myself that space to make mistakes, to feel low, and just relax, to be honest.
Yeah. You said tons of things, so let's break it down.
Yeah.
So one of the things you mentioned was knowing yourself.
Yeah.
I have a theory, and I think it's scientific, that most of the challenges people face when it comes to self-identity issues, personal crisis, interpersonal crisis identity, all those midlife, any form of crisis at all, is deeply rooted in your childhood.
Yeah.
So let me explain. There was a point in my life where I was doing things and I didn't know about fellowship award program, and I was doing dumb things, but I didn't care. I was so proud of myself. But it got to a point when I got into a space where dementia started coming in. It started now became, okay, for me to maintain this, I need to do more. It was about how I wanted to appear in public. For some reason, when you become known or when you get certain recognition, it can get in the way of your work if it's not well managed. Do you think?
Well, definitely, I think it's possible, because just thinking of a 15-year-old blogger in Nigeria is huge.
Yeah.
Because at 15, I wasn't thinking about anything, putting knowledge out there, or even using like the computer like that.
Yeah.
So, but because you don't know it, like obviously a 15-year-old blogger in maybe a China or America is a regular person. Like I have 6-year-olds that are YouTube vloggers on their own.
Yeah.
So it just depends on that environment where you are. And then obviously you then grew older and started to do things and became in the limelight. You start comparing yourself with other people in the limelight, because at 15 you don't have competition. Like not a lot of people are doing that kind of thing, and it's not even really where your mind is at, because you're young and you're curious, you're just wanting to get knowledge in. Do you get? It's not really about who knows you and all of that. Obviously, if you get an award as a 15-year-old blogger, it's a big deal. It's a good boost for your confidence, but it's not why you started. Yeah. But then we grow older, we're like, oh, if I do this, I have all of this to my name. It helps me as a stepping stone to this award. I know sometimes I even do that calculation in my head. Like, oh, these guys won't answer me if I don't do this. And it's not necessarily the wrong motive, but when it goes south, it crushes our esteem, it crushes our confidence, and it just really tells us how human beings can just be. Like, it's just the way human beings, and I think it's completely normal if you know that, oh, I won't just get stuck in this whole thing. So I always give a personal example. Like, I've been trying to go to school for 8 years. Like, I finished undergrad in 2011. So every year since then, I've been applying for school. And I would get the admission. I won't be able to go.
When you mean school, I mean like master's.
For my master's, Sometimes I'll get the admission. It's money. Sometimes the last time before, or the last 2 times, I had visa issues. Like, now I had a scholarship and I had the admission and I didn't get my visa.
Wow.
Another time it was just that, I didn't pass the exams, cut off mark, and they revoked the admission. So I've had all of those, and that alone, 8 years, for goodness sake, you should have stopped applying and just, because I still went ahead to do work. I did SustyVibes without the masters and all, but it didn't make me stop trying. And now I'm in IDS. I feel extremely privileged to be, like, obviously in IDS and in a sharing scholarship where I don't have to lift a finger about anything. Even the visa, they literally did the visa for us and all. It just goes to show that knowing, at the time I didn't realize that I'm not just about this masters. Like, this masters is not a means to an end. Like, my life will not get destroyed if I don't do this masters. If I get it good, it will even be a plus to whoever I'm going to. Basically, like, I would add to their body of knowledge, and it will give an opportunity for people to learn more about the work that I do. And that's how I then started to see it, because first time, this one is not once bitten, twice bitten. It just then became a part of my life. And even if I didn't get it in 2019, I would have still continued to try, because it was what I wanted. And I detached from it being like, oh, do or die kind of thing. It was just something I knew that I was going to get eventually, basically. So it's just being rooted to knowing that kind of person you are. You said something about childhood. I think it's so key.
So you reminded me exactly what I had to say. So I grew up with a lot of, like I said, my last episode, I told people that I didn't have, it was in my episode, I think I mentioned it somewhere, but I mentioned the fact that myself and my parents, particularly my dad, I didn't have very, very cordial relationship when I was young. So many of the things I did as a child was to prove a point to my dad. I was very conscious of the fact that I needed to make an impression with him. So because of that high was on me, I wanted to impress him in my academics. I wanted to impress him with everything I was doing. Sometimes the things I wanted to do, and they would tell me, I can't do this, I'm too young, because my dad was very, very strict. I was like, they call them disciplinarian, but in a way, I don't know if it's what it's being called, but I love limitations as to the things I would have loved to do. My external validation craving was embedded in me from childhood because of how much everybody looks up to their parents, their father, their child. So starting that blog thing was something that I wanted to use to share people my experience and how I was learning how to become more independent, more self-confident as a young person. And it was happening. It means that I was doing something I felt I was proud of, my parents was already proud of. But it manifested in a way when the focus went from my parents to the public. You get, like, so it's now validation for speaking engagement, or validation for invites to come and speak somewhere, or people should know that I'm doing these things. So it now became that, okay, I was no longer seeing that craving from my dad. My dad might be there low-key, but it was no longer a priority anymore.
Because you had kind of
in a way, I was doing something. The struggle was not like making me accept the fact that, okay, I wanted to become something else I didn't want me to become. But it was not about making him proud in the sense that I was worthy, but in the sense I wanted to be proud that, okay, this thing I'm doing make a lot of sense. Even though it didn't look like what you think. But now the attention moved from my dad to the public. So for a while, it was about trying to gain people's external validation. And so when I was saying knowing yourself is sometimes we need to really think deep in our lives and see, why do we do the things we do? Where is this programming coming from? It's not just, everything is not what we see happening to us now. There's always a background to our actions and how we process life and how we see life. And it took me a while to know this, in the sense that I didn't realize that I was trying to prove a point until my NYC, when I was in another limbo in my life. That's another story.
Yeah, another podcast. So just subscribe.
And my NYC, I keep telling people that my NYC, God used that time to show me a lot about my life, but also show me the things I didn't know that was driving my actions. I was in a very dark place. One of the things I realized was, the reason why I felt really bad then was, I've been trying at one point to prove a point to people and to my dad that, okay, I was worthy of acceptance, worthy of the things I was doing, and he needed to accept me for who I was. But at that point, I was frustrated because even though I was getting acknowledged, it was not fulfilling that deepness. So the external validation wasn't working. I was in that point where I believe God reframed my heart to think about my identity and my value from who I was inside me. One particular day, I heard God tell me something. I was very broke. So I trekked for 1 hour from church to the house. And I was almost close to the house, and I was crying.
Broke. That sounds beyond broke.
Yes, we were giving me an NYC allowance, but I used it for many things. Like, I was buying books, I was buying many things, but I didn't have excess money. And church was far from home, but I still wanted to go to church.
Yeah.
So that particular day, I needed money to go to church, but I was like, so I took a walk to church. It was okay because walking to church is, but in the night, I was hungry, tired, everybody has gone home.
Yeah.
And I was shy to ask people for a ride. I didn't want them to know that.
That's a different conversation.
I didn't have money, so I walked home. In my heart, I heard God say that, see, a king is not known by his riches, but by his lineage and his heritage. A king will be a king anywhere, as far as he's recognized as a king and where he comes from. So when I heard that word, it liberated me that, Abraham, you are not what you have.
Yeah.
You are not the materials. The materials are fruits.
Yeah.
Embedded in you is a seed. The funny thing is that I was preaching this message to young people
but
before then. But I had an understanding then, but it was not full.
Yeah.
And so I could only teach people in parts. But at that point, it was a different frame of reference for my life. And when I heard that word, it changed. That was the moment that my life changed for good. And I saw impact. I saw my purpose. I saw everything from the point of I have them inside.
Yeah.
And I'm expressing it.
Yeah.
So that's why I came up with this. One of my quotes that many people like sharing is that I say that fulfillment in life comes from expression and not acquisition. Like it's called fulfillment because you get full by filling others up. And so when I realized that fulfillment is filling people up, and it's like an irony, but it's a principle that, or you understand your value from how you give to people and not what you receive from the world.
Yeah.
Even though I was not a public person, I wanted attention. So it's different from people say, that's another
is it attention or audience? Because if you have
attention in the sense that you want people to notice you, but you're not a public person. So let me give an example. I have one person who says, I'm a private person. I don't like people to know about me. But deep within is a form of arrogance in the sense that they feel they're superior.
God complex.
God complex, that kind of thing. And there's another point where you don't want people to into your life personally, but I want them to respect you
and know about
what you do. So my point then was I wasn't really a public person. I might not showcase, but I want people to know me. Like, acknowledge that I'm doing something nice.
Yeah.
You get? So it's not like know me because I'm good, I'm badass, but I want to know if I'm doing okay. I want to know if.
But what happens when that doesn't come?
Exactly. So that was what changed at that my 2016. That I didn't care about what people think anymore. I didn't care about, and in fact, that was the beginning of my growth in terms of my work. Left NYC, got into Yali. From there, I got this Queens and Young Visitors Award. I applied, but I didn't get the final, but I got React More in Society and Associate Fellow. Like, recognition started coming in a way when I was no longer chasing them. It was like, I feel like a natural principle of life. Like, the moment you stop struggling for something, it's like you've mastered something in the spiritual in a way, and so you're not commanding, attracting them, you're not chasing after them. It's like when people know if you have confidence in the physical world, if you enter a room, people know if you're worthy to be listened to. Like the way you carry yourself, you command your attention. So I feel like when it comes to attracting these things, opportunities or recognition or growing in your career, is the moment when in your mind you are confident that this thing, I big pass this thing, as in I pass this thing, then you qualify to have it.
So I have a lot of this kind of conversations with my fiance, and there's something he says about our present, like now, me and you, it's like our solid state, and it's the densest part of reality.
This guy life physics.
Like everything, like the biggest part is what happens in your mind, obviously in the spiritual, like in the way, like when it's being expressed, that's the aftermath. You get? It has already happened in your mind. You get? It has already been processed. So why not spend time using your mind as a tool and edifying what's happening inside you? Because what comes out is just like the aftermath of like maybe weeks or months of work that was done or not done, because it can be either way. So knowing that the solid state and the present state is just the densest part, because it can go away and it cannot can stay. So it just depends on what happens in your mind, and understanding that the mind is a tool. And even for me, it's something I'm learning, because the mind is a tool. You can overuse it, overwork it. You get anxious, you get scared, you start to worry more. Or then you can use it to be really analytical and strategic. So that one is like just an evolving process that we would have to keep learning on our own. But
so it's really very interesting for us for you guys listening to realize that never analyze whatever thing you're struggling based on what's happening to you right now. Try to question the why is so powerful. Like, why am I not confident? Why am I feeling this way? Where is this coming from? Like, you know, they say everything there's more to see than meets the eye. Like, where is this coming from? Why do I feel this way? If you cannot question yourself, you know a coach or someone that can really ask you deep questions, or a mentor that can bypass your so-called ego and get to the places in your heart where he needs to ask you, or she needs to ask you, or they need to ask you questions, then you will find out when you can find the root cause, after the problem is solved. Like, when I understood that the root cause is about how I perceive myself, I know how people perceive me, I had more control because now I can determine how I perceive myself. I can reframe my mind.
Which is most important.
Which is the most, what people think about it doesn't even...
It's secondary. It's even a function of what you do.
Exactly, because it's like, they talk about this fear of influence. Stephen Covey, one of the most famous researcher, or let's say writer or thought leader in development, used to say that we have this fear of influence and we have this fear of control. And your fear of control is what happens in you. As long as you can protect and maintain that energy in you and have the right sense of identity, know who you are, in the sense that, for me, I'm God's masterpiece, I'm God's design. God designed me for a purpose. I have certain values that are innate in me, and my value is not about what I'm trying to find out there, but because I have something powerful in me to offer to the world. Then your perspective changes about life. You're not looking for someone to say, good job, well done, congratulations. For you to know that you can congratulate yourself. You can excellently deliver something to the world. People don't recognize it, but you even celebrate yourself. You congratulate yourself. You take yourself out. You do something for yourself that no one even knows about. And that's the most rewarding and the most sustainable. I don't want to say, but the most sustainable way. Sustainable reward. Your LinkedIn account can crash, your CV can be bought, if your work can be revoked.
You can lose everything.
You can lose everything. But when you lose everything, what you have in you can recreate everything out there. You also mentioned something about being a tree. You touched on what I said last week in my podcast, that when I see myself, I think of myself as a tree. It means that I'm evolving, and well, this idea came in 2016 also, when I saw that, okay...
2016 was your year.
I read 60 books in 2016.
Oh, wow.
I was asking questions.
Oh, wow. What was your year?
I was asking questions.
What I did in 2016, Jennifer. I started SustyVibes. See that?
My room was like... I tell you that my room was like Island of Patmos. I lived in a place in Ibadan where it was far from where NCCF and NYC and other core members lived. So when I leave school, I'm in my zone. I'm reading, praying, studying, asking questions, reading my vision statement. It was there that I got a lot of ideas about my future, about what I'm going to do. Up to 10 years, I have them in my journal, and in phases I'm delivering them. Like, so the time when I discovered myself, I feel like before 2016, when I started in 2011, it was like rehearsal. I was just jogging. I'm still a young boy, finding his voice and all that kind of thing. But 2016 was a point to really evaluate what I've discovered and reinforce a new lesson in my life. So, how did you even get here? What were we talking about?
The tree.
Yeah, the tree.
I wonder who is interviewing who now.
It happens. So, if you see that you are a growing person, if you see that a tree is not a tree is a seed. But in the seed are trees, and in the trees are seed. Like, when you see yourself as a tree, you see that you are unlimited. You start having that scarcity mindset of, I need to compete with people. I need to look at what my next neighbor is doing. You can learn from them, but you're not trying to run after them. You're not trying to catch up with the next big trend. No, you are trying to set the pace. When I began to see myself like that, I realized that the way I was approaching impact chain, in the sense that I was ahead of my peers in many things. I was ahead of how people saw maybe media, how people saw impact, how people were able to send into sales stories. I was 2 steps ahead in creating things. And when I even create things, it's unique, it's different, because I'm infusing my own life force, which is my own unique DNA, and nobody can replicate. Well, you can replicate DNA
but
there's a unique essence.
Totally. Yeah, and I think even with people in that creative sector, copying somebody is the most
it's the most difficult.
redundant. Yeah, like why?
Why?
Do you get look for what makes you that nobody would be able to, do you get, like, because when you find that thing, it builds that, not just the esteem, you know that you have that excellence in you because this is your thing. This is like you would always get it right and you can obviously improve on it. I think knowing yourself is the most important thing. Obviously, from that phase, you then learn things like balance and self-control and direction. But you would first need to know yourself. That's just, and it's an evolving process. Like, even after you've known it in 2016, I'm sure you've had time.
I'm going to go there again.
Yeah, I'm sure you've had, because maybe sometimes I think, I had gotten it. I'm like,
you can never figure it out.
Like
how did I get here again?
Yeah, you think, but it's good that those reflective
you're human, you're
methods,
evolving, you're growing.
It's a good thing, because if you're even stuck in one thing, one way, you're not growing, you're not improving, it's weird, it's questionable. So I think it's a good thing to even have those points. It's not roadblocks, but I think it can just be a curve or a bend to something even greater, to a better destination and stuff.
Yeah, one thing I want to pick up from all this is, in the end, there are different theory of needs, but what people are looking for is to be loved. And so we see that we are finding different ways to find that love.
Express
and
that
for me, it was family.
Yeah.
And I was looking for it in my work. I was looking for it. So in the end, what people are really craving for is not those validations in the college, that they want to feel love. And so we can put it this way, we say that in this life, people exist to live. That's the fundamental things like food, housing, like the basic needs of life. To love, to feel self-esteem, to feel like you have people around you who care about you. To learn, people also want to learn things, they want to grow and to leave a legacy. But where most people get stuck, because the learning and the legacy is really tied to how much love you feel for yourself. And most time we are stuck in that circle of
trying
love.
To get the love
and we are trying to use legacy to get the love. Meanwhile, it's the other way around. It's like the moment you know, for me, I know that God loves me, I'm loved, I'm special. I know Christ died for me, redeemed me, and all these things, and that I'm not here to please anyone, to make anybody like me. I'm not primarily here to make anyone. I'm not seeking the validation of any human, because by design and by sacrifice of Jesus, I am loved. And so my sense of love comes from an infinite place. And so everything else becomes easier for it. Learning becomes easier because you have an humble heart. You know that, okay, I'm learning to become a better person for myself, not for people. I'm learning because if I learn, I evolve, I grow, that kind of thing. So legacy also becomes easier. Okay, from a place of love, you can be present in your life. You can be present to know people's needs. You can be present to understand what's going on around you in a genuine way. And the way you end up living a legacy that becomes more natural.
And maybe stress-free. Because you're
no pressure.
No pressure. Yeah, definitely. And I think one thing we need to add for people, and I started to learn it, is just learning to take breaks and just relax and calm down. Because if you're in that process of always trying to do, you won't have this reflective, so you don't get to that point where you break down. So take breaks and take time to actually reflect, write about what you're doing, think about it. And by thinking, you're not just fantasizing, you're actually thinking and making connections, saying, oh, why did this happen? What did I do? What step did I take? What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to continue? And perhaps ask people too. So we have pride issues and ego issues, and where it's hard to ask people, okay, what am I not doing right? What did I do right? Even in work, in interpersonal relationship, I think it's important to ask people about what they think you didn't do right, like how they see you, because that way you then improve of yourself. Because if you keep looking at social media or people really far away, it's very fickle because it changes with the trend. So and
people can turn on you. Not say that turn your celebrities online now.
I heard they called it
Bikotu, Lucky Dube. That was savage.
How did I even happen?
I'm like, how did the table turn so fast?
How did you go from African follow the gist, but I saw it. I was like, wow, it got so.
Imagine you're living your life on external.
Exactly.
People can drop it and lift it anytime.
Exactly.
So you're the message of people.
Exactly. And no, God forbid that we're going to be in that. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
It's a trap, to be honest.
Don't talking to me.
Oh my God. Oh my God. But yeah.
For the place of reflection, one thing comes in is something I want to touch on now is when you have time to reflect, you can also discover things about you that might be hindering your growth or your evolution.
Yeah.
Because when I said 2016 was instrumental, I didn't mean that just all those thoughts magically went away. I got a perspective that made me rise above my challenges and I saw myself. So sometimes the idea I want to level up with the knowledge, right? But you have to always find a way to rise above and keep it below, because everybody have another system God are putting up, which is your fear system and doubt system that helps us rational power mind to help us question things. It's there for a purpose, but sometimes it wants to rise above some fundamental principles. And if you don't reflect, you will not see things. So one of my recent breakdown, or the most massive breakdown in my life, was last year. From 2018, I made some decisions that I was beginning to regret, and 2019, I made some also decisions that I would dedicate on that podcast to expand them more. And
you've not told me about 2021, no?
No, it's 2019, like late 2019.
Oh, that
fed into that, and I lost confidence in everything. Social good Lagos, I was not attending to my work. I was not responding to email. I was missing classes. My achievement should not yet. I took a break from class one time. I wasn't in depression, but I was really having anxiety and panic attacks. And I wasn't focusing on academics. I was in a mess. I was like, I don't know what to do. Thank God for the many friends I met, and now, even Jennifer always checked up on me then. I was like, how are you doing? What's up? Can we talk about it? But one of the things I realized was I still had a performance-driven mindset. And because I made mistakes, I lost confidence that, okay, because I made those mistakes, I'm not worthy of what I had. And so I was back to something that God was trying to take me out of. So I allowed that mindset. I allowed because I feel like let me use this word. I felt like I arrived. I felt like, okay, I've gone to a point in my life where mistakes, people should not know I made this mistake. So shame and guilt were stripping in. I didn't want people to know that I did these things and some other things that I'm not really ready to talk about until when I get fully healed with those processes. But shame and guilt tripped in, and it crippled everything in my life. But reflection and being able to open up. So I spent money on a virtual mentor. I bought their programs. I would listen to their podcast, and they were asking questions and making me see things on myself, my childhood, that were still there that I didn't see before. So this thing is a process. Not like you suddenly just
get it,
have a magic genie and just say magic genie make me better. No, it's like, and that's why you're human. You grow, and at every point in time you see new things about yourself. I need to develop and work on. When I realized that I was still performance driven, and mistakes can really have adverse effect on how I perceive myself. That was another level to redefine how I saw. And then I used to still talk about mistakes as a learning process, but this was but it's like I knew it, but there were some mistakes that I felt like it's so grave that I don't want people to know about the mistake. There's some other mistakes that I can it's fine.
I came late.
But this one was something that it was maybe because I was very tied to my core values. And I felt like, okay, if I messed my core value, I messed up where I am. But in the end, core values is just to keep us in check and should not define. We should not make ourselves so much tied to the fact that we make mistakes. We now become our own prison, our own jailers, or we imprison ourselves.
Definitely.
And so the point here is
amazing reflection and revelation.
Reflections is very powerful. Sitting down to ask yourself why at different stages can help you realize powerful things about yourself. That you would never. I think the Bible says that the heart of man is desperately wicked, right? The heart is like a river. It's very deep. Like there are things that are pressed, shaken together that we've never realized. And from our childhood, from this we've learned our experiences. And trust me, I didn't have an abusive childhood. I didn't have. When I mean abusive, I didn't go through some people's really very dark childhood that they were either raped or they had they were lit on the street. Those people have deep things that they are struggling with, or at different point in life are coming up to deal with them. I'm not imagining how they handle their life. If mine was just some mild daddy issues, as it were, how much more bigger and deeper things that drive people like. But I was really happy that at that stage, those mistakes I made was very, very instrumental to revealing those ideas that I still had. And having these virtual mentors and having to buy their programs, I think I spent £150 on their program. And I bought many other books. I tuned into some other programs. I dip myself in things that make me grow. And this one secret about me, I learn. Like, even though I have all these different scars and challenges as every human being has, I don't shy from spending money to learn. I said in 2016, I read books, 60 books. This one I had another issue. I spent money in knowledge. I went to the right people to seek for help. And I found the help I needed. Don't see yourself as you've arrived and you cannot never need help.
Like what they want to say that I've not heard before.
What they want to help. Don't allow your ego to give you shame and guilt that when you make a mistake or when you get to a very dark place in your life, you feel like I'm not worthy of this place I am. I'm not worthy of imposter syndrome. I'm not worthy of being here. Once you keep yourself stuck in that circle, you won't move forward.
It becomes a rot.
If you don't even get how far you can rot in there. And for me, I'm happy that I learned some very critical lessons in life that will shape the rest of my life. Definitely, there'll be another mistake in the middle. There'll be another roadblock, but
which is okay.
It's evolution. I'm happy that I'm growing. I'm happy that I'm becoming better. I'm happy that I can share these things with you.
Exactly.
Because someone out there might be going through the same thing and I feel like I don't deserve to be who I am because I made certain mistakes that I don't want people to know about, or even they know about. I make the mistake that I'm not proud of myself because I have set a standard for myself and I fell short of it. Standards are there to give something to aspire to. You will fall short, but you can always stand up and go for it again, as it were. So the point there is love. Everyone looks for love, but taking that from where I spoke about love is reflection, like Jennifer says, is very important. Having the right people that can help you set your heart, searching your heart.
Maybe we should do another one on how to reflect. How to reflect, right? Because it might just be a thing. Because there are different ways.
It seems so vague and general right now.
Yeah, because we had to do a course at IDS on reflection. So there's writing, there's using pictures, there's just different ways.
For me, I use writing to reflect a lot. I have this silent meditation I do that I used to do. So it's true. That would be something else to look into. One of the things you spoke about was how people respond to their own crisis. Some people get to a point where they feel really down and they detach from the world. Right? I think you mentioned that. But I think some people actually also get so obsessed with work.
So they're trying to make up for that inefficiency they feel. So they're doing more, they're putting themselves out there. And sometimes I think I have the gift of noticing it because I'm asking like, what's happening? Yo, relax, what's happening? Why are you doing so much? You get like, what are you trying to prove? And it can be a confidence thing. And on the other hand, some people would just like relax and detach. I think I would mostly detach because I'm lazy. I'm telling you, I have confidence issues. I'll not be doing more work. I think I detached and I just take it.
I was watching Netflix, eating
that was when you added weight.
Exactly. I was eating
I was like, I must have money, wow.
Fries and chicken. When I realized that one of the ways I cope with my so-called coping mechanism is distractions, movie, food, sleep, doing other things. Detaching from the world, but in my own world, I'm doing that. I'm very busy, but no productivity.
Yes.
Wow, life is so.
But it's good to know this thing, to know your crisis response. You get, what do you do? How do you feel? Some people, they have panic attacks and stuff, and then they just maybe start crying, and they have several episodes of crying. I know that happens to me. Like I just start to cry. Why are you crying? Like you can't even really pinpoint something, but it keeps coming up. So it's very important to know your own response and understand why you're doing stuff.
When you are beginning to do some things that you don't normally do. Question,
like is this coming up?
And it's good to maybe because of my training in the past too, and I'm taking some course. I thank God for my self-awareness. I know when I'm distracted. I know when I'm just trying to while away time. But sometimes that that guilt and shame in the mind overpowers your awareness. Okay, you know that what I'm doing is distraction. You know that you should figure out your life.
Yeah.
You're like, my day.
But this is coming at a very interesting time with the pandemic where people are forced to just relax and chill.
Do your day.
Yeah, and just because how much work can you really do? So it's good to understand context. So obviously all of these things we're saying is in a normal, like, everyday life. Now that there's a pandemic, there are just several ways you can protect your mind and try not to do, because I see there are two school of thoughts online. I think I read it all. People are saying rest. I'm like, even in a normal life, you should rest.
So why are you trying to rest on the rest now?
I'm like, even in a normal life, rest. And now that we have extra time, if there are other things you can do that would help advance wherever you're going for post-COVID, for your future, by all means do them. Don't say, oh, I must stress. But obviously there's that pressure. People are like, oh, all this time I must get course from Harvard.
Everybody sign up for everything.
I'm like,
and I'm a soccer finish online courses, so
it's not hard to sign up. It's like going to pay for gym.
Exactly.
Like, will you go and will you do the work? So I already know I'm not. Like, I'm trying a couple of things. Like, I baked my first cake. And like, all those
and it's just little baby steps.
Yeah, so I'm not going to try and do anything like be president of America or something. So
I think the point at the end is, right now, if you're at a point in your life where you know what works for you, you will know what you need at this time in your life.
Definitely.
It's not a question of what is right or wrong or rest or work. It's what is right for you. And if it is both, do. If it is one, do. But the fault is that don't try to pressure yourself based on what you're seeing with so-called thought leaders online or people that you respect. The most important thing is, what is the right moment? I can't answer that question. We can't answer that question for you.
Definitely.
So you need to sit down and answer that question. Jennifer, in her first introduction, she laid the foundation of many things. She said something about what does change mean to you? What does impact mean to you? Like, it's not about the big things. She mentioned the fact that it can be at least one person you meet. So sometimes we put unnecessary pressure to do the next big project. Like, everybody's always talking the next big thing, the next big tech company, the next big. It's like a buzzword and people want to be the next big thing. But in the end, every next big thing then starts the next big thing.
Yeah. It started as a small thing.
Like, when Victoria Biwoye, the founder of One African Child, when we met and we spoke, and she said our first so-called way of reaching out to young child was a child in our compound.
Oh wow.
Is it China from our street? But it was one child.
Yeah.
And that's where the name came from.
Yeah. Oh wow.
One African child.
Oh wow.
It wasn't that she wanted to go to one community and share books or share food and take pictures and like, we've done impact project or no.
Yeah.
And we're giving examples because most of us are in like non-profit sectors. It might be business, might be something else that you might be used to, but these are examples coming to my mind now because of my field. So don't think that impact is about NGOs or...
No, I can even talk on that because I've worked like in both government and private institutions. So, for example, when I worked with Jumia, I didn't even realize, or even Unilever, I didn't realize that I was something called an entrepreneur. Someone that tries to make change from within an organization. And what was change? I did stuff as simple as converting all our letters to online copies so that you don't always have to go and get the paper and photocopy and all of that. We could just send with email. It was so small, but it helped me like get into another department within Unilever, just that singular act. So obviously it just goes to show that change, small, big, is still change as long as it helps make things better and you just don't leave it the way you met it. So even in Jumia, very simple thing like creating a guide to help younger buyers navigate Excel. It was so simple and so small, but it actually helped me get my next promotion. You get get the recognition I needed to like get further, because obviously in those kind of places your own growth is like promotion and all of that. So but it was those kind of small changes. I did not bring like $1 million into the company or anything, but just understanding change. So
if you take anything from what Jennifer is saying, is that before you're looking for that next big thing, what are those small things around you you're ignoring? It's like, why are you so absorbed about being a superhero? We all have that hero syndrome sometimes. Like, want to do something that is remarkable, groundbreaking, which is a nice ambition.
But
there's one small thing around you that you can do. It's like a leverage. One small push to have a major impact on somebody or an organization or institution.
And you,
community,
on the long run.
And you on the long run.
Yeah.
And it can set the pace for even the path to the big thing.
Definitely.
So,
definitely.
I want to round up here. For me, is that it's not always about you. Don't be so self-absorbed. Don't be about what I want to make a name for myself. It's about I want to serve genuinely. And when it comes from service, genuinely, you will ultimately. Excuse me, I'm coughing.
Why are you coughing? How are you coughing in the COVID-19?
In the COVID-19. Excuse me. So if you focus on service, ultimately that dream you want to achieve, that thing you want to do, that impact, that legacy you want to leave, is not far from you as long as you are genuinely serving anywhere you find yourself. So aspire for big things, but be very aware of the small things around you that you can be part of. So I just hope that we're able to explore this topic very well. And Jennifer said I should talk about reflections, something I think I will write down.
Yeah, tell us what you think too. So maybe in the comments.
Let us know what you want to know specifically in the comments. Exactly. If any areas we think we can touch on, any area you feel like I can expand on, or I can even bring Jennifer again to expand on, we'll be happy to help on that. Do you have any final thing you want to say?
I think it was such a privilege and an amazing time, because even talking about these things, we remind ourselves. We remind ourselves, because like we said, we have it in us, but you just need to bring it out every time. So it was such a good opportunity to do that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for taking time to share from your experiences. We've come to the end of today. Thank you for always allowing me to your space.
Yes, thank you for allowing me into your space. I'm sorry for those times I spoke really fast. That is something I'm definitely going to improve on. So the key takeaways I would like you to remember is: 1. Know yourself. Always dig deep to find out why you do what you do. Find the right source of love. For me, it's Jesus, and how much sacrifice is made for me to have a relationship with the Father. See yourself as a growing tree. It helps defeat guilt and shame. Practice internal reflections. Find out what drives you at different stages in your life. Reevaluate how you see change and impact. It always begins, most times, with the so-called small things. And finally, it's not all about you. Learn to serve. Don't be so driven by the superhero syndrome. Anywhere you find yourself, serve. We didn't get to learn about Jennifer's work as we promised because of our own time, but head on to SustyVibes.com to read about her work, or follow her at Jennifer on Twitter. That is DZENNYPHA. I will put the link in the show notes. It's been another long episode, and I am happy you made it this far. And I hope you learned a bit about how to re-engineer yourself and how to re-engineer your confidence and see confidence from a better perspective. Thank you for listening to this episode of Respectrum. If you find this really useful, please share with a friend. If you also like to learn more about me, please follow me on Twistagram at IamHoAbraham. And don't forget that together we are unstoppable. Chee!